Reaction on the story. I'm now joined by the City of Johannesburg MMC for Public Safety, Dr. Mgcini Tshwaku, who is heading to that burnt building tomorrow, I believe, to inspect what is going on there. MMC, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. It's exactly as, I think, a year ago. In fact, it was an anniversary just a couple of days ago of that fire in Marshalltown. Now, I remember that week when you came on the show and spoke to us and you said, this is going to happen again, as if you knew that in a year's time, we are already going to be faced with yet another fire in a building in Jeppestown. What's the challenge? What's the challenge? Why? I mean, one, firstly, you have another abandoned building. Two, you have informal settlements erected in the building. And three, you have fire.
No, thank you very much, Butabo. Good evening to the watchers of Newzroom Afrika and yourselves. Look, this thing is that when I was deployed by the economic freedom fighters, one of the priorities that is in the manifesto was to say that let us deal with the bad buildings. So we've launched an operation called Manje Namhlanje, where we went and with the team to inspect the Vanin Court, which is infested with criminals, and Casamia, your Metro Heights, which has been cleared up now. It's ready for, but it's a private building, was cleared up as well. They had the Tsotsis and all of that kind of stuff. Now, after that assessment, we've taken the people out and say, okay, this building, we said there was a dilemma to say, when we inspected and the EMS closed the building because it does not comply with the Fire Act, is to say, okay, people will take the city to court to interdict them. And then you find that people are still now in those bad buildings. As I went back to the city, God, look, we said to ourselves that the people are going to get burnt here or the disaster is waiting to happen. What do you do? So the city went back to court. They got what is called now an evacuation. So in all the buildings in there, the EMS has done close to 6,000 plus buildings to inspect them. And then there's been a submaral committee that is running. It's almost on a weekly basis, sort of, to check in terms of how far are we in terms of clearing them. There's a subcommittee that I must say, where we sit there. The mayor is convening, is being convened by the mayor to ensure that we deal with the bad buildings and also bylaws and all the kind of stuff like that. It's there. So after all said and done, we completed with the work, with the inspection, everything. And you've got the what is called the relocation orders from the court. One main thing that I think that the EM is working on now with the MEC for Human Settlement is that where do you take the people that are occupying those bad buildings? Because the law says that you can't evict. If you evict them, you must give them alternative accommodation. So, Butabo, this is where we are right now. I'm even going to see people of Florence. Remember my Florence building?
Yes.
Where there was yes, they called me because people there, again, they are leaving a primer stove, they are leaving candles and all of that. So they were requesting that maybe let's have an intervention with other departments, like maybe it must switch off, like must switch on umbane and all the kind of so that they stop using those things. So I was going to see them tomorrow. But there's anything that we have to do now with the leadership, with the mayoral committee and all of us together, is to now deal with the transit. But where do we take them? JMPD and Public Safety, we donated our land to say the people of Usindis must go. We lost a lot of money, but because of humanity, we don't look at profits before that. So we gave them the land. So we must do that in a put up. That's what we must do. So
would you agree, I mean, from what I'm hearing in essence, with what the Marshalltown Justice Campaign is suggesting, emergency public housing of some sort or transitional housing of some sort?
That we must do that very urgently. You can give that to me tomorrow. I will be able to move our people with dignity to those areas, and then the entrepreneurs and even the city working with the private sector or the city can absorb those buildings and build affordable housing, or they can build affordable housing or student accommodation. It is there. It was done before. Remember, that motion was sponsored by the EFF in 2016, 2017, in that era of Mashaba, and then the EFF was there as well. So it is there, that thing that let us just absorb them. The problem we're having now, the center of the problem, and I'm happy that the mayor said that he's going to unlock the monies which are in the national. There is a fund that I know national that can be unlocked so that you can have a transitional accommodation. There are other transitional accommodation that are there already. Maybe MMC Mabaso must unlock those. And wherever, for example, with the disaster, what is waiting to happen now is in Casamia. Casamia is, the structural integrity and all the sewage everywhere that's coming out. So that one is very, even Venin Court for crying out, if we can just even start with that Casa and Venin Court. Venin Court, you can see that it's, when the criminals, they hijack people, they rob people, and they enter into that building. And those people are plus minus 80 to 100.
Yes.
We can take them, we lock the building. It's just the main thing that we want, the main thing that we can be assisted on. Please, it's a transitional accommodation for our people. We can't throw the people on the street. That's all. Then the building issue, it will come to an end. That's it.
Let's talk about that criminality. I mean, they're saying even in this building, there are those who are carrying guns. There are those who are taking out packages out of that building, even as the fire was there. And the mayor says, well, JMPD, SAPS must conduct a raid there.
Yeah, look, we do conduct raids, especially in the Kasami. What we found there is that because the building is old, there's no security, there's anything. So people get robbed and then they can just enter those buildings and actually stay there. We've done a lot of raids, and most of the crime we are seeing is crime which is committed outside. We see it on our cameras, and people go and run inside those buildings and it's dark. But you find when you do an inspection room by room, it's just honest people who are coming from different parts of the country in South Africa, and also you find people coming in Africa as well. They are sitting there, and they've been telling us that there's nothing we can do because the entrance is open, the authorities come here, we meet them in the passages. So the only thing we can sort out is if we've been, even in the mayoral committee, that the sub-mayoral that we always hold, I said, guys, we can do this thing, but let us hurry up to just give an alternative accommodation. Maybe we can even release some of the land that we have as a city, and we can build later using our containers, because containers is quite quickly, we can build them. So, but something is got to give. We need to give people alternative accommodation, especially those who have occupied the bad buildings. We can't do anything because once you start, if you start to put, you can't, the law says that you must give them alternative accommodation. So my hands becomes tied. I can enter those buildings. I've got trucks for bylaw that we can take people and help them to move. But the only thing is that the human settlement must provide a transitional accommodation. Maybe we must also ask the province through their funding and national to make the money available. As a city, we make the land available for that transit accommodation. That's all on Abuja. But then these bad buildings and all of that. I was saying to the chief of fire, my man, I think that what we need to do now is very simple. We're going to write a report for the mayor again and say that the critical building that we need to deal with within the next few months is these ones, because I don't want to go to any commission again and explain myself, but what did I do? Because we've done the inspection, the buildings are bad, they don't comply with fire, and what is so bad, they make they want to do those things. They make these informal settlements inside the building.
Yeah, they
remember the one that got
inside.
Yes, even Florence, even the same thing at Florence.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. They're using flammable stuff. So the sooner we can make this transitional accommodation, the sooner we can in effect now our recommendation. That is as simple as that, Putau.
Let me ask you this question, completely unrelated to this fire, but it has got to do with community safety in the city of Johannesburg. The mayor was heard speaking at his party's RC Lekgotla and making a suggestion that we have no option but to hire legally documented foreign nationals to help us fight crime in the city. Of course, we have seen a tweet from the Gauteng Premier saying, no, we've rejected that proposal. I think Herman Mashaba of Action SA also rejecting that proposal. What would have been your position?
Look, mine is very simple, that we've got, in South Africa, we've got men and women which are capable. And then we were actually doing the recruitment that we've done for the traffic wardens that we had, but due to the budgetary, constraint, we could not continue. I know our people are ready for that. We're recruiting 300 traffic wardens. That also I'm going to put up into the mayor so that we can continue with the process. And those were women and men which were capable. We've interviewed them in South Africa. Remember, you can go and take out skills outside if they are extremely critical. But if there's something that can be done by the locals, it must be done. And even our requirements as the JMPD, that you must be South African ID and all of that. It has not changed at all.
So the question of language, you're saying it's not hampering you from doing your work.
Interpretation is there.
Yeah,
we can interpret every time. We've never ever as a JMPD, because remember we've got a crime busting unit. A TRU is done. The TRU, we are arresting people, and then when you go to the to the police station, there are interpreters there and all of that. The only thing that we need now is to recruit more JMPD. Want to introduce what is called a bylaw traffic wardens to enforce the bylaws and all of that, and also want to increase the capacity of the tactical reaction unit. So, and also, I know the mayor has been dealing with that. Also, we need to be paying the PFA of the officers. They need their money so that, because some of them are demoralized. Before we can go outside and do the stuff, let us fix our JMPD officers. Let's give them first their PFA. Let us hire more of them. There are many young people who've been calling me, asking me about the traffic wardens, when it's going to conclude the process. We interviewed 300 of them, capable women and men, South Africans that are capable. They are here. And then we also had some reservists that were there before, even the EPWPs that were in the system.
Right.
So we can't go from outside and then leaving the people who have been trained locally and all of that. But what I'm appealing to the mayor was to saying that put more budget so that we can increase the number of JMPD officers, because the population has increased, but we've never hired more. That's why you find that sometimes we get overwhelmed with the criminality and the bylaw. We need to hire more people, and they are there. We hired them, we did them.
MMC
was just taken away, yes, that's all.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on.